Oh boy, I guess it's time for more Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hardy was a magician. He traveled the nation with a sister act.
The Diamond Sisters.
The Diamond Sisters. They traveled the country in a truck that broke down, and he slept in the storage container with them. And they didn't. No one touched each other.
No, we slept in hotel rooms.
No. But when the car broke down,
yeah. The trailer.
Yeah, storage trailer. Yeah. Every part of my story is correct. But how old were you?
18.
So Hardy was 18 with these like two fairly attractive, I would imagine, sisters.
Yeah.
And the car. First of all, he's traveling. I can't imagine the amount of masturbation. Undercover like the trips to the bathroom had to be almost constant, and then the car breaks down, and it's almost out of a porno. The car breaks down, and it caught on fire or something, right? Yeah. So like, there's this like situation going, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and they have to get into the trailer, the three of them, and there's nothing to do but wait for help, and they're in the middle of nowhere, so they all lay down together. And they're just laying there.
We didn't lay down together. We opened the back of the trailer and sat on the edge.
Whatever. You're all in there.
Same thing.
And you had to be dying.
No, it was too traumatic at that moment. It was sharing the hotel room with them. They slept in one bed, and I would sleep in the other one in the same room.
How did you deal with that? I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean,
no.
but did you even try? Like, by words?
No. I mean, they were both so out of my league. One of them was married.
Sure.
To a guy that would actually, we would sometimes open for him. He's still a working magician. His name is Jeff Hobson. And he tours around, and he's like an MC now for like The Illusionist and things like that. He's a great magician. He's a great host and stuff.
Real bigwig.
Yeah, he really is.
Real
I mean,
star.
he's been doing this for 30 plus years now.
Nothing sad about that.
Not. Anyway, he was so good that we would come in, Carrie and Leslie were, the eye candy, the Diamond Sisters, and I was their, assistant on stage. We were doing illusions. We were doing, like big magic. We would be the opening act sometimes at like stag nights, at nice parties. We had one at Medina Country Club in Chicago.
Oh, hey, now.
It was like during their member guest where it's all dudes and it's like, hey, we want some raucous entertainment. They bring us, we would open, and then Jeff would come in, and his entire show traveled with him in a briefcase. He did card magic. He did small stuff. He acted as part of his act kind of effeminate and like kind of, played off. It's a different era, but it kind of acted gay to make people uncomfortable. And he was...
Really threw it in everyone's face.
Just a little bit. But he was so good and so funny, he was the headliner. Imagine that, like two like hot women doing illusions. We were the opener.
How old was the single one?
23.
Oh,
okay, so this is in the ballpark here. Come on now.
Well, no, but it doesn't matter what the age is. See, that's the thing, is that he's 18.
Yeah.
Like, even if she was older, it would be better. Like, if it would even be a better story if she was like 35. Like, 23 is almost a peer. I know 23 is a lot different than 18. And it's not about like that he didn't hook up with them. That I can completely understand. And it's not that he didn't try. I wouldn't have either.
I did hook up with one other woman who worked in a different show that I was working in, and it was like an overnight travel thing, and I was working as an assistant, and we did, and it was awesome. She was in her 30s. And
that's like I hooked up with a woman in my 30s when I was young, and it was like
great.
She had like a real car and everything. Like, and she thought my place was cute, and she left right after we were done. And I poured her wine, and she goes, "I think you know why I'm here." And I went, "Oh." And then we had sex, and she was like, "Hey," and then she left, and she left me her card. And then like a month later, I called her, and she answered the phone, and she was like at a pool or something in Miami. And she goes, "Oh, Freddie, hi. It's so great to hear from you." And I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm in Miami." And she's like, "Call me I'll be back, like, da-da-da-da. Call me, and we'll go out again." And I'm like, "Okay." And then it just didn't happen.
Oh.
But it was the greatest. She drove a Mercedes. She came up to me. Like, everything was fantastic. I used to know her name, but I've forgotten it by now. But anyway, Hardy, just the torture of traveling with those women and not being able to, and being 18. I mean, 18, you'd masturbate several times a day. And now you're trapped with these two women in a hotel room.
I was very professional. It was about the art of magic, you know?
Again, I wouldn't have done anything.
I was focusing on the act.
I wouldn't have done anything. It just would have been hell. Because I was never in proximity with women like that until I got into college. So, you know, it would have been like, I would have been out of my mind.
It's show business, Freddie. You know, you play a role. It's an act. You know, you gotta remain professional.
Well, you probably acted like you almost tore your thing off. All right. Well, listen. Oz Pearlman was on the show, and yes. We wanted Hardy to be his mark. Oz Pearlman is the mentalist, and we didn't want him on because he wasn't going to be in studio, and they said, "Oh, he can do his stuff over the phone." All right. So this is what it sounded like, a brief piece of like what he did with Hardy on the air.
Count the number of letters in this person's first name to yourself and just say, "I'm done," when you got it.
Done.
So it took a little while. You caught that, right? It wasn't instantaneous when you feel rushed where it's 3 or 4 letter name. There was a lengthy pause involved. It felt to me, you know, it's not an exact science, and doing this over the radio is near impossible, to be honest. It was 6, 7, or 8 letters, what it felt like. If it was a struggle, he would have double counted. Say that for me. Hardy, go 6, 7, 8.
6, 7.
Yeah, you didn't even do the 8. It's 6 letters, isn't it? It's definitely 6 letters. You got a terrible poker face. Am I right? Of course I'm right. So now fill in one of the letters in the name right now. Like, you look down, don't write anything. I'm not with you in studio. Did you just do that? Did you write in one of the letters in your head?
Yes.
I think you didn't do the first letter, did you?
Yes.
He did the first letter, and now I feel as if the first letter kind of gives away the name a little bit, because to me, it was this kind of hissing sound, and she spells it funny, because I think you could spell this name a bunch of different ways. And then the second letter, you're thinking it was an E, because she spelled it with an E. It's an S at the beginning, an E near the end, a T, a C, A, E, Y, Stacy. Am I right? Was the name of your first crush?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, so there you go. So that happens, and a little later in the show, Hardy came to a conclusion. And you believe you figured out how he did the trick. Hardy, I'm not going to say how, but Hardy believes he's figured out how Oz Pearlman did the trick.
I
never would have figured it out, but Hardy did kind of, and it makes sense. We don't know, obviously, if he did or not. He had asked Hardy who his first crush was as a kid. He had pre-interviewed him, but he didn't ask him the question, and whatever. It was cool.
It was really cool.
After some, I'm rolling over Hardy here. Introspection believes, you have to remember, Hardy was a touring magician. You have to remember that. Did John Cougar Mellencamp, at the height of his fame, Hardy juggled before one of his shows.
That's right.
So,
me and Michael Mode.
So if anyone would be able, that's why I wanted Hardy to do it, because I figured Hardy'd be able to figure it out, and he believes he did. All right, so Hardy didn't even give him an opportunity to tell him how he did it, because I rolled all over him.
No, and I didn't want to reveal it at the time because A, I wasn't sure, and B, it's a cool thing he was doing, and I didn't want to be the one to blow it up. And you know, he's done a lot of stuff since then. He was in the middle of his act at the White House Correspondents' Dinner when the shooting happened,
right?
Or the shooter ran in there and he got cut off. So he's out there doing his thing.
And by the way, like we know he's not reading minds.
He has said as much,
right?
He says it's a trick.
Yes, of course he's not reading minds. But Pablo Torre had a guy on. It doesn't really matter whom. I'll just let you know this guy at one point suggested Oz Pearlman go to jail for fraud. Not unironically and not kidding around. Like, it's absurd. I think it might have something to do with it. He did the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But what do I know? I haven't heard any of this. But Hardy figured it out, and this kind of legitimizes what Hardy was we didn't want to say because there is an art to this.
I told you guys off the air how I thought he did it, and it had something to do with the pre-interview process.
Right. And so, there's still an act. I mean, you heard Oz Pearlman. He doesn't just come out and say the name. There's like there's a thing. Like it's a sleight of hand. It's all misdirection. Like there's an art to all of this.
Yes.
I mean, okay, but here we go.
Played for the Jets last year?
Yes.
So he's on Bussin' with the Boys. Pablo Torre is playing a clip of Oz Pearlman on a show called Bussin' with the Boys.
Played for the Jets last year?
Yes.
Just switched. Did you not know that? Just switched to the Buccaneers. Bryce Hall, isn't it?
Brees Hall, yeah.
Brees Hall. Is that not right?
He's on the Jets still.
He's on the Jets still?
I think he just traded in the last day of the Bucs.
Could you explain what is being signaled here that if you're not going through this with a magnifying glass, you might have missed?
So what's happened, to give you the full peek behind the curtain, is that he's interacted with Will before the show.
Okay, I gotta preface this because I think we have confusion here. Are you thinking of the same person? You've got one person throughout, or you just pick a new person?
I'm thinking of the cat. You was getting me on across over.
I had you think it's him. He's not a cornerback.
Not a corner.
He's using that pre-show dual reality meta deception, and he has gotten Will to enter into a Google search the name of the player that he's thinking of. And he disguises, rather than just saying, hey, I want you to pull up Google and type something in, he gives him the excuse of, hey, can you look up a stat about this guy? I want you to maybe look up some sort of stat about him. And then he Googles that stat. He thinks he's looking up a stat, but in actuality, Oz has a few different methods that we can talk about of getting him to use a fake Google page, something that looks like Google. It will send you to a genuine Google results page, but in that process, the information that you enter is going to be sent to Oz's phone.
Which is what I determined he had done. Now, when...
That's impressive.
During the pre-interview...
Diamond Sisters.
Yeah.
During all that masturbation, he learned a few things.
And again... The magic happens well before the magic.
Absolutely.
Okay? And just about every illusion trick that you see, by the time the big reveal is done, the magic already happened. The card, the dove, the elephant has been gone for a long time. With Oz, during the pre-interview, and he talks so fast and he's moving around and he's asking me a dozen different questions. What kind of bike did you ride when you were a little kid? Oh, that's, I don't know, that's interesting. Did you have a first crush? Oh, that might be kind of interesting. I don't know. Don't say her name. Don't even say her name. Don't even think about her. But you know what? Do you have a computer in front of you? I just want to know what her astrological sign is, right? And I'm like, okay. And he goes, and he said something like, just put in like name and astrology. Put the name and astrology or something like that so you can get it quickly here. And whatever I did, whatever he said to do, I did it. And long after the fact, I said, oh, whatever site it took me to or whatever search I did, he's got some program on his phone. If anyone ever searches a name and astrology, he's got some website that it feeds to him first, right? I thought like he has a website. This guy on Pablo Torre thinks it's some program that, directs him to what looks like a real Google result. But if you type in a specific thing, any name and some word, boom, it directs to his page.
Now, did he tell you go to Google?
I was on Google, yes, okay. Right? But I typed in a specific thing. He's like, oh, I've actually done this before. There's a good site. Just put in, this, and the other. And I went in there, and once I did, he goes, yeah, try the name there. But he had me move off of it so fast. I thought, oh, there's no way. He's not looking at what I'm typing. He's not. He hasn't hacked our keyboard. No.
Just real quick. So he had you Google something, then click on a link.
Yes.
And then put in on that link the thing.
The name.
Okay.
But you figured it out. I never in a million years would have figured that out.
Because it's too far-fetched, and it's such a good trick, and he sells it not only so well on the air or in the moment, he was selling it as I was doing the pre-interview with him. And he kept saying stuff like, it doesn't matter. And he'd move on to the next thing, and we talked about 3 more things after my first crush's name that he didn't end up using. It's like, no, I got what I need. But now I'm going to continue the charade for a while and get you not even thinking about what we just did.
Yeah, so like the whole thing about it being, a trick is like, yeah,
Of course it's a trick.
Right. He cannot read minds.
So
Yes.
this is what I wonder about Oz, because in the age of the internet, you can look up about how anything is done, how anything is accomplished, any magician. And I think you've seen it go two ways. Number one, you got to be like, come up with a real cool technological trick. And I've seen Oz do other stuff. I have no idea how he does it.
Well, some of it was lame. Like I saw something that he had just a piece of carbon.
Yeah.
Like, and you could see the carbon.
Right.
Like, so like some of it is better than others.
Some of it's better than others. But you've also seen magicians now, and they've got guys in Vegas with their own shows and their own showrooms now that are literally doing just close-up card magic with, a camera on them, where even if you go online after the show and say, how does a guy make, an ace of spades turn into a king of diamonds? It's like they can show you how it's done, and it's still so unbelievable that the guy can do it. It doesn't matter if you know how it's done.
Right.
It's still so cool.
It's that sleight of hand that is they're so good at.
We call it prestidigitation, Fred.
Oh.
In the biz.
Just to make it sound better.
Yes. But
Okay.
sleight of hand, yes. So he's either, and I'm sure he will, because he's really good at this and he's come up with something. He's going to maybe have to come up with some other methods now. But
a lot of respect in the magician community for a guy like this.
Well, he's not. He's a mentalist. He's not a magician.
Sorry.
well, the guy in Pablo Torre says he talked with some of his magician friends in New York about this, and a lot of them were like, F that guy. Now, I wonder if it's because they, A, don't respect his methods, or B, it's like a lot of other professions, they're jealous of all his fame and notoriety that he's getting.
I wonder if you're not Chris Angel if just people don't like you. Because when there's a mind freak that's freaking out minds so much, no one has any time for you anymore.
I would still go see Oz Pearlman tonight, even knowing like how some of this stuff is done, because I think he's so good at the presentation.
Well, that's the art of it. The art of it is the misdirection and getting people to get off their guard. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was impressive that you figured it out. And now we can say, because Pablo Torre had someone on who, according to the internet, said that Oz is a con artist that she could be convicted of fraud, which I think is...
He's dabbling in the dark arts.
Well, I told you off the air, it's like burning someone at the stake because they did a card trick. Like, which? Like, don't say you can read minds if you can't read minds. It's fake advertising. I paid a ticket to see you read a mind, not grift me. Like, okay. Like, yes, he cannot read minds. That is true. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Tom Caron will do his weekly appearance with us.
Ticket not punch.
Hardy.
No, the ticket's not punch.
Fred.
You got a bunch of stuff wrong when you talk. So much for this country.
Toucher and Hardy.
I guess this country's a bunch of buffoons that don't know the rules.
You idiot. The Sports Up.
Very satisfying, particularly with how we did it. Bats kind of came to life this week, which was really nice to see. So, and then to grab, be trailing, get another big swing from Jaron and come back and win, and win in comeback fashion was very satisfying.
Was it? All right. Yes, the Red Sox last night finishing off the sweep of the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City, no less, improving their record to 22-27. But a winning record away from Fenway. Tom Caron, of course, you know him as the excellent studio host and broadcast announcer for NESN, specializing in the Red Sox. But he does other things. Don't try to pigeonhole him. Do that at your own cost. Tom Caron, hello, sir.
Good morning. That's right. Don't label me, Fred. Don't label me.
I will not. I will not put you in a box, my friend.
Put you in a cage, as Abdo said yesterday.
That's right. So, Tom, a nice sweep. What did you get out of this series?
Well, that a team built on pitching and defense and maybe a little bit of offense, won 3 games with pitching, defense, and just a little bit of offense. You'd like to see the offense get more going. We haven't seen that yet, but the pitching and defense is real. The bullpen has been really impressive. Overall on the season, second best ERA of any bullpen in baseball. It's been even better in May. Last night was a good win because they got it without having to use Slayton, without having to use Whitlock. I thought it was a chance to see Chad Tracy kind of figure out how to do that. and he cobbled together a couple of innings out of Greg Weissert, who's been an adventure, and then Giovanni Duran. So again, a good. They've won 4 out of 5. They're 9-6 and 15. So they're actually playing some decent baseball. But you just said it at the top. You got to win some games at home. Their home record's been awful. They're 8-14 at Fenway. They're not hitting at Fenway, which makes no sense because it's a hitter's ballpark. So this is a big homestand coming up. You want people to start to actually think you might hang around this thing. It's Memorial Day now, about a third of the way through the season. This is an important 6-game homestand.
I think you get to a point, Tom, where, I mean, the way they've played at home, you expect the worst, and then they go on the road, and they put together a nice 3-game set, and Jarren Duran seems to have found himself. We've been waiting a couple of years for this. I mean, is this the corner turning a little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, you hope so, right, John? I mean, I do think, he got yanked around a little bit at the beginning of the year here. The 5-man outfield rotation thing was keeping him out of the lineup. He wasn't batting leadoff, where I think he's most comfortable. I think one thing you can look at with this season so far and just say that was a mistake is throwing Anthony in the leadoff spot and putting too much on him too quickly. So, he's got a chance right now that they've left him at the top of the lineup. It took a little bit. I thought it was interesting. It was the first or second game in Atlanta on this road trip where Tracy was asked, are you thinking about taking Anthony Duran, out of the leadoff spot? And he said no, he's going to turn it around in the leadoff spot. And since that vote of confidence, he's taken off. Really good couple of games. The biggest swing of the road trip was that home run last night, I thought, because not just that it gave him the lead, it was opposite field, and he hasn't been doing enough of that. When he was really good a couple years ago, when he was one of the best hitters in baseball, he was constantly going opposite field. He needs to do that at Fenway Park. He needs to use the green monster to his advantage. So that was a huge homer last night because he showed he could hit opposite field home runs, and he needs to do that.
Now, is that a product of the coaching and of some of the batting? What is it? Driveline?
The driveline guy who's now the hitting coach.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, are they going to start to take small victory laps after performances like we got from Duran out of this series?
Well, the driveline thing, sometimes we lump it in and just, make it represent all that is evil in modern coaching. Their philosophy is hit the ball, line drive in the air hard, and there's nothing wrong with that. The worry sometimes is I feel the young hitters especially take that and just turn it into, I have to swing as hard as I can. And I think you've seen that with Caleb Durbin. I think that's it. Last year he was a contact hitter. Not much exit velocity, and it looks to me when you see him at the plate, he's taking really big swings to try to hit the ball harder, but big swings tend to not hit the ball at all, and I think that's what you've seen with some of these guys. So, when you talk about an opposite field approach, it's really a little shorter to the ball. It's not as big a swing, right? You're going after pitches that are outside, the outside half of the plate. So the driveline thing works in developing players. Sometimes in a game situation, you can't go with the same approach every single time. Sometimes it's just about putting the ball in play, and they've done that over the last week. 9 hits in the last 4 games. They win. They're 5-1 when they get 10 hits in a game. So I like the approach right now that they're showing at the plate, and that's what you hope they can continue.
Now that there is some positivity around this team, there are some anchors kind of holding this team up. Caleb Durbin is one. Bryan Bello seems to be another. What is the future on the roster for each of those 2 players?
Well, I think the best news that Bryan Bello got was yesterday when we found out that it's still going to be a while here for Garrett Crochet, because I think Crochet comes back. There's no way you can keep Bello as one of the 5 guys right now. So he's going to make his next. Well, if you looking back at the offseason,
last week he didn't.
I'm not sure you'd get a whole lot from Bryan Bello last week.
He said that it was too much. He didn't want to give up on young pitching, and it was too much to move.
Yes, and that was after Bello had pitched well with an opener in front of him, and then Bello pitched lousy as a starter, and Fred came back over the top.
I mean, I've never seen, you've seen guys who are both pitchers. I've never seen a guy who he has to come in the second inning. I mean, it's the strangest thing. And it's real. Obviously, when you heard his catcher, when Narvaez said after the game, that the 3-run home run he gave up in the first inning kind of took him out of the game. It's the first inning.
Oh, boy.
And it's just that, listen, since he arrived here, and even when he had a really good year last year, he sometimes is just way too emotional on the mound. And maybe there is something to take that first inning off and just get ready to run in whenever we need you. I don't know, but I wouldn't let him start. I would certainly have someone pitching an inning ahead of him next time out.
It's a completely different mentality, and obviously, Tom, you know that there's 1,000 guys that can throw. It's the mental aspect of it is as important as anything else when you get to this level. I mean,
if you remember him in the Netflix thing, like there was video of him between innings behind the dugout, just beating himself up. And I remember they viewed some of that, and I was with a couple of the coaches at an event, and they hadn't seen the video, and they didn't even know he was that rough on himself. Like, he goes back into the batting. I think he's gotten better at it, but he's go back into the batting cage and just scream at himself and throw stuff, and then go back out and pitch the next inning. You got to, that mental part for a pitcher is so important. You got to have mound presence. You got to keep your act together. Hardy, it's like if you're standing on the tee, Hardy, I'll bring it to golf for you.
Thank you.
You can't let a bad hole carry over to your next tee shot.
You got to
be able to put that away.
You got to have a short memory.
You got to keep trying to procreate. All right, so but you know who's had a great thing about that was Sonny Gray. When he was with the Cardinals, he was talking about.
Here we go.
He started a game and they weren't calling a low strike. This is before ABS. And he was getting lit up a little bit, and he was talking about how he had to recalibrate and figure out how he was going to handle the situation, basically forgetting what had just happened, and giving him that moment. And it turned out he ended up pitching 6 innings that day, so he got over the first inning. But it illustrates how some of these veterans stick around regardless of how their stuff goes, because a lot of it is the mentality and the ability to overcome things and adjust to when situations change.
I think it got glossed over when Bello came back out for the second inning without the PitchCom device in his hat. Like, I haven't seen that happen, and it's a really bad look. He came out, and not only did he forget it, he didn't know he didn't have it in his cap.
Oh.
And he's standing on the mound looking in Narvaez, and he's waiting he's like tapping the side. He's like, oh crap, it's not there. Like, that's that shows me he had totally lost control of the situation after giving up the home run in the first inning, came back out in the second inning, wasn't ready to pitch. You can't have that.
Well, that's where a pitching coach, that's, look, if there's nothing they can do about it, there's nothing they can do about it. And they did figure out that he can, if he doesn't start, that he can be effective. But, that mental thing is, something that they got to work with him.
Andrew Bailey seems to have reached Connolly early and Peyton Tolley.
No, he's done a great job.
Yeah, the question is, how come he can't reach this guy?
Some guys you can't reach.
And you wonder, we were thinking about it the other day. You go back, Alex Cora, took him out so early in that playoff game. And again, I'm not going to say he's ruined his career in that moment in the third inning. But, man, you go back to September last year, he hasn't been the same. And you wonder if just like the emotions, he's waiting for something to go wrong. And as soon as it does, he just collapses. And that's a rough look for starting pitcher. Listen, there's concerns about the amount of bullpen use they have. If you tell me that Crochet can come back and Bello becomes a long guy, I know he doesn't want that. I know they're paying him a lot of money to be a long reliever. I don't care. That could actually really help this team. So there might be a role for him. I just don't think it's a starting pitcher if everybody stays healthy.
Okay, so Steve Phillips I heard him talking, and Steve Phillips, he's an analyst now. He was the GM of the Mets. He was talking about, now take this with a grain of salt, and this was before the victory last night, but he was talking about if he was the Red Sox, he would look to build around the young team, and he would sell at the trade deadline. They were talking about teams that were supposed to be good that could be selling, and they talked about the Mets, and they talked about this and that. But he said Chapman and all this. So my question to you, Tom, is if we get towards the trade deadline and the Red Sox do sell, what's it going to take for them to sell because of the optics of it? Like, where would they have to be to actually be actively selling? Like, in full sell mode at the deadline?
Yeah, you'd have to be, you'd have to still be like further back than you are now as far as record goes. They're 500. You creep back a little bit, right? if you were 10 under 500, 8, 9, 10, which is not out of the question, I don't think they care about optics. I think they would sell. I think if you're sitting here and there's 6 teams between you and a wild card spot, and you're, 8, 9. One that, if you go to, FanGraphs has their playoff probabilities and they're updated every day. They have their own internal stuff. And I know that, in past years, by and large, if they're, considerably below 60, 50% probability odds, they'll go into sell mode. And I don't think that's out of the question. I think this next month, and it's a tough month. June is a tough schedule. But I think that month is going to tell you everything about where they're going to be when they get to July. Because if you look at this and say, man, and listen, they can say we lost Anthony to an injury, we lost Crochet. There's always excuses. And his point about you've got some pieces there in Chapman and Gray and Contreras, all these guys could bring you something back, and you can say, see you next year. But right now, like you said, a little bit of momentum. They won again last night. I think, they got a month to keep that from happening. But they got to play better at home, and they got to get back to 500. But it's such a bad league. I mean, I look every morning, and there's just so many terrible bad teams. They're 5-5. I was looking at the last 10. They're 5-5, and that's better than 9 of the 14 teams in the league over the last 10 games.
Well, yeah, Kansas City's 1-9.
9 teams.
Yeah, Detroit's 2-8. I mean, Detroit's going to have to get rid of Skubal. I mean, they'll probably trade him to the National League, and then probably trade him to the. I was about to say they'll probably trade him to the Dodgers.
Sure.
Yeah,
Dodgers.
Why not? Just add him. But, the Yankees with Fried's hurt, they're falling back a little bit. So it's the American League's awful. Which,
so when you talk about selling off, it becomes hard when you look and say, my God, as bad as this has been, we could still make the playoffs.
But, Tom, that's when you get so much, when there's only 5 teams that are willing to deal, that's when everything's worth a ton. So it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul situation. I guess, I don't know. That's not probably the right metaphor, but who cares? I'm dumb. Tom Caron, he's a genius. He's a NESN. Thank you as always, my friend. Good stuff today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it. There you go. Tom Caron. I heard Steve Phillips say that. I said, that will go over well. And then where are you? So you sold for prospects, and then those prospects are 2 years away, and now you're in this
you wonder the damage, and he brought up Bello at the end of last season. You wonder if some of them are ever going to be good. Okay, that's the problem.
But say you trade Contreras, Gray, and Chapman, and then you go into next season, and you're like, all right, now we're going to trade and get signed free agents. We're going to trade for veterans and sign free agents. And it's like, well, you did that last year.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing? And by the way, Pete Alonso sucks, and he sucked. He was a good bit, and he's not playing well this year. So, look, maybe you dodged some bullets not signing some guys. Contreras is better than Alonso right now.
Yeah.
But
far better defensively, too.
Well, Alonso can't play.
Far better defensively.
But I never liked Alonso. I didn't understand why people wanted him.
I was wrong. I wanted a guy who was a threat to hit 40 or 50 home runs in the lineup.
So much. It's really an aggravation. You're supposed to be the sports guy. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
My buddy with friends like these,
to climb up a tree. We're the best friends you can be, my buddy and me.
Now, more of your best morning buddies, Toucher and Hardy, on the Sports Hub.
Be listening for your chance to score a pair of tickets to see this guy, Bruce Springsteen, at the E Street Band Sunday night at the Garden.
Is this from Nebraska?
He was they did a whole movie about it. He was down on his luck, and he went and moved to New Jersey by himself, and he was staying in the house. He was very lonely. Yeah. Turn it up, Brian. And he came up with this. He's like, and they're like, what's this new sound? And he goes, it's called elevator music.
So then it became...
No, I was trying to do Springsteen, and it became Jazz Wallet. There's so many...
Well, go ahead.
I was confused. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called... It's called elevator music. It speaks to me. I want to call it Nebraska. Why? Because it's the lamest state. My dad just died. This is a song about it. Bruce, this is a very unconventional way of promoting the album. I want it played at every Holiday Inn. All right.
Hold music.
Yes, exactly. Bruce, think about it. There's millions of people on hold every day. They need something to listen to. If I this just came across my email.
Mm-hmm.
If you were looking for a 1955 Bowman baseball complete set, graded 6 out of 10, how much is that running for you after a 20% discount? We've guessed it's more than you have to pay for Felger and Maz to do.
Yeah.
But not by a terrible amount.
55. Wow. So you got a lot of Hall of Famers.
Oh,
in there.
yeah, baby. You got a lot.
6 out of 10?
Yeah, 6 out of 10. You got yourself Sandy Koufax, Harmon Killebrew, rookies.
Mays,
Roberto,
Mantle.
But 3 rookies, Koufax, Killebrew, Clemente. You got them all in there.
And you got Mays and Mantle already in there.
You got Mays, no Mantle in this set, apparently. There's Ted Williams, Hank Aaron. I don't know why Mantle's not in this. Hank Aaron, Ted, did he not play yet?
No, Mantle was there, wasn't he?
I don't know. But anyway, there's Hank Aaron, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks, Duke Snyder are all involved. If you had to guess how much...
I know nothing about it, but 6 out of 10 doesn't sound great. I'm going to say 22,000.
I was going to say 40.
$17,648. Dean's cards go. It's a bargain.
Yeah.
According to you two. Go get it. Go grab it. Sit on it.
It will only appreciate.
Well, that's what I call the Fonzie. Is that you buy on that, you sit on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could look it up online in 10 seconds. We'll see if John takes it upon himself to actually do it here while we're talking about it. But the ball given to the kids at the end of the Sandlot that James Earl Jones hands over after they lose the Babe Ruth baseball, but he's got one signed by that entire Yankees team. What would that ball have been worth? Like, what would it be worth today?
What year is that?
I don't know.
The Yankees.
We would have to come back for break with that information. But
he could have had it.
You know, they're doing something.
get it.
They're trying to do something in Fenway that's really aggravating me. You know how in Florida at the hockey games they started remember this argument that we had years ago? Not you and I.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
And they threw the rats, and I'm like, that's lame that you're throwing rats because they in Detroit they threw octopi, and you just, I mean, like you're throwing some. That's different. It's different. No, it's not. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's a dead animal. You're throwing it on the ice. It's stupid. You're just stealing something that's been around forever.
Now they're proposing something when the Red Sox come back to Fenway tomorrow.
This is so dumb. Please don't do this. Yeah. So the Cardinals had a college team in town, and the college team happened to be in the right field stands, and they all took their shirts off, and they're all partying and everything else, and everyone around them started taking their shirts off. And after the game, the Cardinals won, and after the game, the manager of the Cardinals said, I want that atmosphere again. I'm going to buy those guys tickets, and, you know, we want people to go into the right field stands and take their shirts off. The next game was like chaos. They were I mean, come on, it's not like Gigi Allen, but you know, they were in the right field stands, and it was a lot of fun, and they were doing soccer chants and things like that, and they probably had 1,000 people with their shirts off, and it's continued since then. Now, last night was the last game that those kids are going to be in town for, but it's become this thing with the Cardinals. So it's been going on for like 5 days, okay? Like one homestand that the Cardinals just had organically this college baseball team in. They, you know, the manager gave them tickets. They gave them a bunch of stuff. Like, it was kind of cool and organic. It was like a nice story. You know, no one was going to Cardinal games. They're a little surprising right now. It's not going to last, but, you know, enjoy it. No, it's not going to last. They're not good, but it never lasts. But now the Red Sox are like going like, come to the games and sit in right field with your shirt off. That's just lame. That's just a business telling you to promote their business for free.
Yeah.
Like when it's fun when something organically happens.
Right. It's like when they started playing the Timmy Trumpet for stuff that had nothing to do with it.
It was Edwin Diaz's entrance theme, the closer for the Mets.
Right. And then other teams started trying to use it. I'm like, wait, no, don't do that.
It's just like it's like baseball gets like something that's, and look, is it like outlandishly fun? No, but I mean, it's at least a story that has a organic beginning and origin, and it just happened.
Yeah.
Like Come up with your own thing.
No. We want to do that too.
Yeah, it's just like, and you're asking the crowd to do something. Like, you give them. The Cardinals gave those guys tickets. They took them to the locker room and gave them a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but we're not going to do that. We just want you to come and create the same thing.
Win after the game.
We want to go viral.
Win said it was the best, most fun he's ever had at a baseball game, that Saturday game. Or it was a Saturday game, I think. Yeah. And he's like, and then now, like, you're turning around and asking, like, go F yourself.
Sweet Caroline isn't enough at Fenway.
Well, no, but if you, like, play well and have some kids there that do something on their own.
I know.
And then, take them and give them tickets and give them a bunch of stuff. Don't ask your fans that pay to go do something, you clowns. What a clowny thing to do. I don't mean to be rough, but I don't want to get in trouble with the Red Sox, but it's clownish.
I don't like the language.
All right, Wallach, you're throwing me under the bus like the Tebow thing.
The ball from the Sandlot?
Yeah.
1927 Yankees team signed ball.
Ooh.
Worth between $30,000 and up to $150,000, depending on condition.
Yeah.
In 1962, when the Sandlot took place, the ball would have been worth over $14,000.
Yeah, the signed stuff that's just like a signed ball isn't worth that much. It's the limited edition, like, cards and things of that nature. And oddly enough, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, if you sign those cards, like if you have an athlete outside of the production process sign the card, it can actually lessen the value of the card.
27 Yankees, widely believed to be one of the best baseball teams of all time. Very, very.
Wow, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
All right, caller number 10 to the contest line.
Damn right, I got that right, didn't I?
931. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Wow, the Yankees were good. Caller number 10.
It's only 100 years ago.
617-931-0985 will score a pair of no one celebrates that team. You wouldn't know.
99.
We'll score a pair of tickets to see the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band Sunday night at the Garden. People are mad at us, and for good reason. I mean, I did make fun of the guy. But I got one email about it, so it must be addressed in just a moment.